Hey, welcome, folks, to this edition of the 700 Club. Get this, only 5 seats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's all the Republicans need to win back the House of Representatives and change the Speaker. Nancy Pelosi won't be it. The question is, will the former president, who's out attacking some Republicans because they didn't support him, whether he's going to mess the thing up? Who? Well, we've got CBN prognosticator John Waggy, who's going to go through race after race in 2022, and you will know what's happening. But first, Capitol Hill correspondent Abigail Robertson reports on the GOP strategy to win back the House and the Senate.
The 2022 midterms are just around the corner, and Republicans hope to add to their gains in the last election. Trump vows to help that effort, although it's not just Democrats he wants to beat.
A person that loves seeing our troops fighting, Liz Cheney. How about that?
Speaking at the Conservative Political Action Conference, Trump not only went after the third-ranking House Republican, but he also named each GOP lawmaker who voted for his impeachment.
So hopefully they'll get rid of her with the next election. Get rid of them all.
Cheney prefers the former president stick to running his business or golfing.
I don't believe that he should be playing a role in the future of the party or the country.
House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, however, credits Trump's campaign support for the GOP's 2020 success.
This is the first time since 1994 no incumbent Republican lost. We beat 15 Democrats. And you know who the 15 Democrats lost to? Conservative women and conservative minorities, each and every one of them.
Now leaders feel they can regain House control in 2022 and see candidate recruitment as a key strategy.
Do you want to retire Nancy Pelosi? Hell yeah. Do you want to end the socialism in this country? Win the House, 5 seats, the closest. This is the smallest majority the Democrats have had in 100 years.
Senator Mike Braun tells CBN News to win in 2022, Republicans need to appeal to more young people and minorities.
We've got the best message. We have to articulate it well and bring more people into the conservative movement out of the gate.
And stick with Trump.
I hope President Trump stays in the loop. I hope he also looks at how we improve on some of the stuff to articulate the message better so that it's not so close in these national elections, how we turn the tide of what we've seen in Arizona and Georgia. And I think that's clear by what you saw at CPAC, that he's got to be part of it. And it needs to be one Republican Party.
And Trump's impact is already being felt as he's endorsing primary candidates to take on the incumbents who voted in favor of his impeachment. Reporting from Virginia, Abigail Robertson, CBN News.
Well, Chief Political Editor John Waggy is joining us now. He's done a study of this. John, the Republicans released a list of 48 House Democrats that they're targeting in 22. That's a huge number. And why do they believe that many Democrats are vulnerable?
Yeah, when you consider, Pat, that they need 5, maybe 6 to take over the House, having 48 seats to choose from is a pretty good luxury at this point. You know, they've got, we just selected maybe 6 of them out of the total, and they include California's 45th district, where it's Orange County, and then also Florida's 17th district with Charlie Crist, and the Illinois 17th, where one of the Democratic Campaign Committee members is the representative, and also in Virginia, the 2nd district, and Wisconsin, the 3rd district, and New Jersey's 3rd district. Those are the 6 that 6 of them we're looking at. But of course, with 48, you could look at almost any of them.
Well, have you actually done some of the numbers of the polling now? Can you give us some specifics about those several of those states?
Well, one thing, Pat, is that many of those districts are districts that either Biden lost or that he won narrowly, Also, they're districts that were previously occupied by Republicans until 2018, when Republicans lost 40 seats. So that's really what they're targeting is districts that have a sizable Republican percentage with them, but may have been upset by President Trump. And this is where they're looking is the opportunity that's presented from being the party out of power, because since World War II, 27 seats is the number that a party tends to gain. So with the fighting the Democrats in 2022, Republicans have very much a built-in advantage.
John, are they going to run on personalities like we've got these wonderful women, these wonderful Hispanics and so forth? Or were they going to run strictly on message, that our message is so much more powerful than what the Democrats have?
Yeah, I think they're going to run to an extent on their diversity. We saw that in the Republican convention in 2020, and it truly is becoming a more diverse party. We saw these Republican conservative women who did quite well in the 2020 House elections. So there will be that element of it. I think they'll also be running against the Democrats, and we'll have another 15, 16 months of seeing the kind of policies that we've seen in the first 100 days. That's certainly going to be on the agenda. And I think that it will go district by district, but I think you can capitalize on the dissatisfaction as well. You know, Pat, there are, I think, 5 congressional districts they're targeting in Texas, 3 or 4 in California, 3 in New York State, 2 in Nevada, 2 in Arizona. So some of these contested states where the elections were very questionable in the eyes of Republicans, they're really targeting some House races there.
You know, here we're in the 2nd district. That's where we are, of Virginia. And there's a guy named Scott Taylor,
Right,
who had been a former congressman, but he had some things that he had done that, you know, made him very vulnerable. And he was targeted. We just saw ad after ad after ad, not so much supporting Elaine Luria, the Democrat, but knocking Scott Taylor. Do you think she is vulnerable? This used to be a safe Republican seat.
Yeah, and that's why Elaine Luria is on the list of 48 House seats, because although Biden won the district by 5 points, if they get field a good candidate, and this is true, Pat, for around the country, if they field a candidate and unite around him, and they don't have any extraneous things to give the opposition the opportunity to really undercut, then they really have a solid chance of taking back the House. And that's true from coast to coast, where the whole policies of even lockdown, you know, the New York 18th district is not one that was on our list, but in New York, Sean Maloney is the Democratic campaign chair, so he's targeted by the Republicans as well, and they really think that, you know, a rising tide can lift all boats, and that's where the Republicans feel that they are. When there's an unpopular president, we saw the Republicans gain 53 seats in 1994. You remember that one, Pat. And 60 seats the Republicans gained in Obama's first off-year elections, 2010. So we're talking about, you know, really capitalizing on unpopular positions, and we've certainly seen some of those in the opening days of the Biden administration.
John, one thing, the former President Trump has decided he's going to go after all those people who supported impeachment against him, and he's attacking especially Liz Cheney and others who are Republicans. Do you think, is he going to hurt the efforts to win these 5 seats, do you think?
I don't think so, Pat. We'll have to wait and see. You know, the scripture in Matthew says a house divided against itself cannot stand. I think that the party is pretty solidly behind President Trump. I think that targeting these these senators and congressmen is popular with a good portion of the base who are pretty angry about some of the public stands they've taken. That'll be one of the first tests, is to see the primaries in 2022 and see if the candidates President Trump is going to support actually defeat candidates like Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger and some people like that. It's a very, very public showdown. And you remember that in 2016, the chant that went forward, the main battle cry was "Drain the swamp." The swamp hasn't been drained, and what the base feels is they've learned a lot of Republicans are part of the swamp, and those are the ones that seemingly are going to be dealt with first. We'll see how successful former President Trump is in dealing with that.
All right. Well, John, thanks for your prognostications. We'll look again as we get closer to the election, but it's an amazing thing. I think that the Democrats are, the devil always overreaches. He always overreaches, and it looks like the Democrats are going to overreach too. They're putting in things with executive orders which are highly unpopular. They're canceling projects that are costing a lot of jobs. They're acting like, he's lost a job as a welder. He can get now a job in high tech. I mean, it doesn't work that way. And the labor unions are going to be against them. And so you're going to find a tremendous amount of discontent in our country. And the overreach has been alarming, just absolutely alarming. And, of course, if they take back the House, the possibility of getting the Senate is fairly remote, but you never know. But the House particularly is so vulnerable. And we'll find it'll be an interesting election to watch.